Okay, I'm live. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective that investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video or videos later today. I was having trouble connecting. I don't know why. I kept saying I couldn't find a connection. But here I am, and we have Frank and Lynette. Thank you both for joining. And as usual, how is your reading going this week? I finished the Bob trilogy, and I really liked the last book. I really liked how they were like really short, a lot of really short chapters that really highlighted how the consciousness of Bob has splintered, or how there are different versions of Bob, um, each with their own little story. And yeah, I like the third book a lot. Might be my favorite one. I mean, I always like the first book that is all the setup, but I really did like the third book a lot. And then I read a middle grade book called The Lock Eater, which was very good. And I have yet to start my Shelf It or Shove It pick, which I'll probably do today or tomorrow, which is, I forgot what the name of the book um, when I posted the video, and I found Family Experiment. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not super excited about it, but we'll see. Frank has read Ohio by Stephen Markley. He's Jonathan Franzen's evil twin. I am pleased to enjoy. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Bobiverse books. Oh, and Frank, were you the one that was telling me last week about the drag queens, the controversy? Because I immediately went to Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, but since then, and it's funny because I saw it on the Olympics. I saw it on TV, which was allegedly making fun of the Last Supper, and I don't know. I didn't really see it at the time, and they claiming it's the feast of the gods because there's like Bacchus in it, and if you look at that painting, it's more similar. But I was thinking, even if it wasn't that, even if it was the Last Supper, which apparently it wasn't, but there's been so many parodies of the Last Supper that no one gets mad about. But if it's drag queens, suddenly it's like I saw one where it's like dogs in the Last Supper. I mean, there are so many versions or iterations of um, a parody of that painting. Anyway, whatever. You read Slugs by Garbogist. Typical creature feature, not great literature, but fun. I like fun books. I like fun books. They were making fun of it, but so what? Even the Simpsons have done the Last Supper, right? But if it's drag queen, suddenly it's whoosh, heads explode. And then there's that whole controversy talking about the Olympics about that boxer who um, Rolling um, said called was a man. She said, "Oh, this is a man boxing this woman and beating her up," and then it turns out, allegedly being a trans woman, but she wasn't even a trans woman. She was a woman. She was born with a womb, you know? And it's a little tricky because a lot of times black women in sports are accused of being men. It's weird, but like the Serena Williams, they did that with her too. Um, that was so bizarre. But they're alleged that some Russians, like we can trust the Russians, say that she had XY chromosomes, but there is sort of this condition that there are some people born with wombs and grow up as women that have XY chromosomes. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. It makes J.K. Rowling look stupid though, because she's insisting that this athlete is a man. I mean, I understand the arguments that don't even apply in this case, but I don't care about sports that much that I can work myself up to have an opinion on it. But anyway, there's a painting called Your Mama's Last in Disney cartoon character version. J.K. Rowling saying that a woman with a penis isn't a woman. Now she's saying a woman born with a vagina isn't a woman. Exactly. Oh, and I saw that. Let me try to share this with you. Heard about the boxing controversy. Very confusing. Yeah. I I saw all that going on Twitter. I'm not big on Twitter. I just pretty much announce when I release a video. But once in a while, I'll like go in and I see some of these controversies. But I saw this advertisement and I thought it was a joke. Let me try to share it with you. I thought it was a joke because it was a towel skirt. Okay, think about what I'm telling you. A towel skirt. A skirt that looks like you have a towel wrapped around you. And apparently it's not a joke. Are you seeing what I'm putting up here? A men's terry cloth towel skirt. Terry cloth. And they're selling it for $925. You know, and I think it's actually unisex. So how can they justify, and it's in beige, a beige towel skirt. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I guess it's a scam. It's not a scam because they're selling the skirt. It's not like they're hiding that this is a terry cloth skirt they're selling for almost $1,000. But I don't. What would you call it if it's not a scam? uh, I guess it's genius. Or what would you call the people that buy it? I have to find out who actually bought that. Okay, anyway. Yeah. $925. Who would buy that? Rip off. Thank you. Okay, so I was thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was thinking about doing a yellow lid, but I kind of want to do a pink lid. But maybe just, let's look at some colors. Oh, who sells it, Frank? It was I share this again, Balenciaga. So, oh, and the name of the store is Bergdorf Goodman. So it's like a name brand and an expensive store. It's a towel. People, it is a towel. You could buy a terry cloth towel, wrap it around your waist. Okay, anyway, enough of that. Let's look at some colors. What did I do last week? I think I did purple. Let's just do blue. Okay. Anyone who buys that has too much money. Some people have way too much money for their own good. It is a terry cloth towel. Okay, anyway. Okay. Let's do Okay. I also read How to Survive History, which told me how to run from a T Rex, survive Pompeii, survive the fall of Rome. It's hilarious. Get off the Titanic if I was a third class passenger. Verify the time machine. How would you survive Pompeii? I mean, you just couldn't run fast enough. On our when Dennis and I went on our big trip to Europe, we went to Rome, but one of the places I wanted to visit that we visited was Pompeii, and it's really amazing. If you're ever in Italy and can visit Pompeii, it is so much bigger than you think. It just seems to go on forever. Okay. You have to leave Pompeii as soon as the volcano started to smoke and also head towards Naples. Oh, interesting. Rather than go in the other direction. No one really knows when it's a big one. Remember when Mount St. Helens erupted? Okay. In 19th century, when they found the paintings on the walls of Pompeii, it blew their minds. It was like straight porn. Hey, Stig. Let's hope you never have to put that knowledge to the test. Yes. Okay. So, Stig, let us know what you're reading this week if you are, if you want to share. Oh, I was watching The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is on Netflix. And it was like I've stopped reading young adult, but it was back when I was reading young adult, and I was really interested in the audiobook version because I heard it was a full cast or it had special effects. It wasn't, it was okay. And I finished the book and I thought it was okay. But anyway, I wanted to see the next Netflix version, and it really threw me that everyone, it was British. It was set in England. It's a British BBC production. And I was like, wait a minute, the book was set in America, wasn't it? I was like second guessing myself. I had to look it up. And I think it's getting good reviews and whatnot, but I honestly think it's boring. It's kind of boring to watch for me. Um, but if anyone can do like these mystery series, it's definitely the British. They go crazy for their mysteries. I really enjoy talking about mystery thrillers or the ones with the big twist. I really like watching what's his name, Harlan Corbin. But but I've never read anything by him. He's not really the type of writer I go for, because I mostly do speculative. But Jimmy Carter, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. What are we talking about? I found it interesting that women have a better chance of surviving starvation than men do, such as what happened with the Donner Party. Next month's called Creation Lake comes out. It had dynamite reviews. It's by Rachel Kushner. I'm currently participating in the Bone Season Read Along by Samantha Shannon, and I'm enjoying it very much. It's the first book in a planned 7-book series. Wow. 4 books are out. That's a good time to start, I think, a big series like that. It's when there's like a bunch of books out and 5 coming out in February. I also read a book about the history of evolution, which covers evolutionary ideas from Aristotle to present times. Oh, that reminds me, I need to finish the last Flavia de Luz before the new one comes out. Brits have always done terrific crime mystery books and shows. Why are they so crazy about crime and mystery books and shows? I don't know. Also reading The Dragon Reborn, but it takes me so long to get through Robert Jordan books. Not because they're boring, because they're so long. Yeah, Jordan's books are long, and getting started in the Wheel of Time series is a commitment. But I was lucky enough to start reading it when it was first published, so I never really experienced the fatigue that can set in by reading a big series like that, because I was reading them like once a year, 1 book a year as they were published. And then there was like a multi-year periods, and he eventually passed away. But anyway. But he sells a ton, yep. Oh, man, I'll say Helen's Explosion. Oh, today you're starting The Bad Seed. I did some research. It started as a novel, was adapted to a play, and then made into a movie. The movie is based on the play. Okay, because I remember you mentioned that last week, Lynette, and I just thought it was a play. I thought it was a Lillian Hellman play, which I could be wrong on that account too. Okay, anyway. These 2 blues are not blending at all, but I don't think you can tell on screen. Excuse me. I am continuing A Song of Arbonne. I'm listening to a chapter each night before I go to sleep. Oh. I love me Guy Gabriel Kay. Won't touch anything with dragons in it. Aw, Frank. I like some dragons. I've been listening to the audiobook narrated by Rosamund Pike. So that's my pacing, about 1 book a year. There you go. And as a reward for finishing a book in the series, I get a physical fancy hardcover. Love the OG art and Wheel of Time books. So I have several back here. I occasionally like a story with dragons, but I think they are overdone. Yeah, that's published writers get all these perks. That's I don't know if you saw my Shelve It or Shove It this week, but that's what I said about King Arthur, Arthurian stories, because Lev Grossman, and I like that writer a lot. He came out with a King Arthur book, and I was saying I'm just not excited by another King Arthur retelling. I mean, they started with, was it Mallory's Mort d'Arthur, however you pronounce it. But in recent times, I guess it was T.H. White that did his Arthur retellings, and he used Mallory's version sort of as canon. But there was a lot of blank space in the Mallory version that T.H. White filled in, like with Arthur growing up and being not a foundling, but being the adopted son of Sir Kay, and all that stuff was like T.H. White. He's like filled in a lot of the blanks, but he used Mallory as as canon, all the facts. And then the next iteration was Mary Stuart, the Crystal Cave, and I like that a lot. I like that more than T.H. White. And then and that's the one I would recommend, I think. But there's also Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Mists of Avalon, which I love, but that author is really hard to recommend, because you can look up my video, all the sexual abuse allegations. But I kind of hope, like in 100 years, people can just read The Mists of Avalon just on their own merits. Like, we read Dickens now, and we know Dickens wasn't great to some of the women he was around, but we can read those without cringing. I don't know. I'm not sure the last time I read an author retelling. It's been a while. I read Legend Born by Tracy Dion, which was a young adult sort of inspiration from King Arthur. It wasn't really a retelling. Camelot the Musical had some nice music. Okay. I have the T.H. White book on my shelf, but never read it. Love Arthurian Mists. Mists of Avalon was a hit with my teenage self. Me too. It's too bad about the author. I really recommend Mary Stewart's Crystal Caves. If I think it's better than T.H. White, in my opinion. My favorite Arthur story is a movie, The Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yes, Lynette. Heard this Mallory guy was some sort of child molester, if you could believe that. I could. I'll believe anything, I guess. Love the Monty Python. I also don't recommend Mists of Avalon purely because of the allegations, yes, but maybe in 100 years, yeah. Adding Mary Stuart to your list. Tried reading the T.H. White book, but it's very dry. Agree. Okay, so what am I doing with this look? Do I have a mid-range blue that I could try to blend these two? I mean, the Crystal Cave used to be really big. I don't know. And it was another one of those fantasies that you would find in the fiction section. It wasn't this is back in the 70s, 80s. It wasn't shelved. Actually, when was it published? But it wasn't shelved with the other science fiction and fantasy. It was, I guess it was deemed elevated above the genre fiction. Kind of like with Kurt Vonnegut. Oh, going nuts. Okay. I'm trying to think of other authors that write science fiction and fantasy, but their works are. I'm not sure if it happens as much anymore. That are shelved in fiction rather than the science fiction fantasy. Okay, so my question is, I think I'm going to go pink. And I think I'm going to do a pink streak through here. Okay. Never heard of the Crystal Cave. Interesting. Has a BBC miniseries too. Does it? I have to look that up. I don't know if I've seen it. It seems like something I would definitely watch. Would never go into a cave, have heard too many horror stories. The Crystal Cave is what Merlin, it's like a Merlin centric story. He gets his magic powers from or something. Also bought Criminali. Criminali presents Garbology, the Garbogist anthology of awesome trash. Criminali. I have to look them up. Subscribed for a while, but felt lost in the crowd. I think fantasy has become too mainstream to be shelved in fiction, contra sci-fi and fantasy. Hey, Lori, thank you for popping in. When a booktuber has too many followers, it's easy to get lost in the crowd. I want too many followers. Merlin of the Crystal Cave, 1991. Don't think I've read any fantasy since Lord of the Rings when you were in your teens. Well, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Although, what about Frank, magical realism? Because that's fantasy, but it's still. I think I should have done yellow, but it's too late now. Oh well. I have a bit of love-hate relationship with fantasy. Yes, I'm doing my list of the 100 fantasy and sci-fi writers. I'm recalling a lot of how there just wasn't any fantasy back in the day. And I'm calling the era like around the late 70s, early 80s is the start of a fantasy renaissance. Because suddenly you started seeing it. Before it was mostly all science fiction. Okay, the pink and the blue do not blend, but I'm going to try to blend it a little bit with this pinky purple. You tried reading 100 Years of Solitude by Marquez and DNF'd it. No! Okay, maybe fantasy isn't for you. I can't really work out which fantasy subgenres are for me. I'm not sure 100 Days of Solitude is the mark of good magical realism. Except I love portal fantasies, going back to Narnia. Some of my faves are, oh, you like Samantha Shannon? See, I didn't like Samantha Shannon. Nicholas Eames and Lee Bardugo. I like Lee Bardugo. I don't think I've read Nicholas Eames. I love the Expanse series too. Good choice, Stig. Lynette, I envy the problems you have. Except for Fairy Tale by Stephen King, which I only like the first half of. Yeah, me too. Which is ironic because the first half was before they go through the portal. King just does realism or contemporary realism really well, even though there's like horror elements. Couldn't get through 100 Days of Solitude, but I will try it again someday. I have heard so many good things about the Expanse series. Almost bought the first book when I was in Barnes & Noble. It is really a good series, in my opinion. It's a long series. If you don't like epic, stay away from it, but oh, so today I want to film part 5 of my science fiction, uh, top 100 science fiction books. I almost screwed up on my release of a video this week because I released part 4 of the science fiction series, and then I was like, wait a minute, shove it or shove it. And I had to pull everything back, had to relaunch. Okay. Yeah, this still isn't blending. Okay, we're just going to go for it. Nicholas Eames wrote Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose, both solid rompy fantasy books, standalones set in the same universe. The only thing stopping me from reading the Expanse series is its length. Will read Love in the Time of Cholera if I'm around long enough. Love Samantha Shannon. The Pride of the Orange Tree was fun. They're not for the faint of heart, though. She writes tomes with capital T. Yeah, here was my problem with Priory of the Orange Tree. First, since I read ebooks a lot, I bought it in an ebook and I didn't realize how long it was. So it's like I kept reading and reading. It's like, God, this book's going on forever. But also, I didn't find the main character sympathetic. And for a really long book like that, it made it really boring. And for me, and when I bought the book, I read it as they had this tagline. This was like a sapphic or lesbian romance. So I was really expecting that from the beginning, but I think that was supposed to be like a surprise twist. And it was not a surprise to find out, oh my gosh, the main character is a lesbian. I mean, they shouldn't have advertised it as such if they wanted to make it a surprise. I recommend the Expanse show is fantastic. You might like it better, Lynette, than I know you have Amazon Prime than the book series because it's definitely not as long, and it's especially the head of the UN, the Indian woman. I don't know who that actress was. She has this really deep, like 2-pack a day Marlboro voice. Really fantastic actress. Oops. Magical Realism book I liked was Some Kind of Fairy Tale by Graham Joyce. Don't know that one. A 16-year-old girl disappears and returns 20 years later, but she's still only 16. Different strokes for different folks. The romance takes a hot minute to build up indeed, but I enjoyed most of the POVs. Yeah, that's why there's so many great books out there that aren't necessarily for everyone. Oh, who wrote Infinite Jest? Oh, I have it back here. Yeah, that guy was published in general fiction when really it's a science fiction, fantasy-ish story. Oops. Okay, before I do that. Yeah, that's another author don't really recommend. It's really not for everyone. David Foster Wallace. Okay. Okay. Graham Joyce also wrote Tooth Fairy, in which the Tooth Fairy is a real monster. Sheree, I don't know how to pronounce that, is the actress who plays Apollo. Okay, thank you. Yeah, look that actress up. She is fantastic. Had a dentist as the kid who was a monster. There's a booktuber whose whole channel is just about Wallace and McCarthy. Okay. Well, I'm for Wallace. I think there's people that do their like whole thesis, like Proust, do their whole thesis on one author, one work. Shoot, I really should. I'm not doing a good job today, but I should have done the eyeliner first. I know there's another drag queen booktuber whose whole channel is just Wheel of Time. Okay. To be fair, you can make a lot of content on Wheel of Time. Yep. I think there are too many Stephen King related channels. I was a big Stephen King fan. I would be watching multiple videos each day. You watched the show Thoughts. I started the book series because I watched season 1 and are we talking about Wheel of Time? It's I'm like a lot of those fans who was really frustrated with the choices made not to follow the series. We're talking about Stephen King, Wheel of Time. I think I've just painted myself into a corner. I like the aesthetic, actors were good, but man, that script, what English freshman BOA student wrote them scripts. Haven't read King in years. Was going to read 11/22/63, but tossed it. I hope to binge watch Umbrella. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Umbrella Academy. Yeah, I want to see that. Um, yeah, it was. I don't want to get into all that. Oh, they rewrote Wheel of Time to be woke or whatever, but it does feel like it was written by a committee that kind of wanted to. Um, the Wheel of Time has a big dichotomy between male and female in terms of their magic system and society. And I think the committee that ended up doing the televised series wanted to um, somehow soften that and not to have like a white male, a straight white male lead who had multiple wives, by the way, um, and decided to make the Dragon Reborn not one person, but a group of people. That's how it kind of felt for me, which is way not how the book was written. And for me, the first season just had one thing to do to make the main characters, Matt, Moraine, um, Perrin, and Egwene, to make them be, or to show their friendship was so close and so tight knit that the rest of the story all comes back to their friendship, that their ties were so tight that no matter what happens in the future, they'll always be bound together. And I don't think they did that, in my opinion. And that was my big disappointment with the story. And then the changing of the Dragon Reborn, and I kind of wish they just would have made their own story. Why base it on Wheel of Time when it's not really based on Wheel of Time? And if they don't want to do the a story with the straight white male savior, I'm fine with that. But there are other books you can do. I would so much love to see the Jade. I was going to say the Jade War. It's called the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I would love to see that. Oh, by the way, if you wanted science fiction or a fantasy series, um, Frank, and check that one out because it's not the Tolkien elves and dwarves type of thing, but it's set in sort of the 20th century technology. It's a different fantasy world, but really excellent, in my opinion, sort of metaphor of the Cold War in the later half or mid half of the 20th century. Um, I would love to see that as a series. Okay, what's it going to do? I don't know how to do this blending. I'm gonna have to go with pink. I'm just gonna have to go crazy with pink. Just slap some glitter. I'm ahead of you. Got some out. Found it slightly tedious. It was really sloppily done, showing the friend group. A lot of the payoff emotional moments was at the end. And you know what's something else, Stig, about that series? It's I don't know if it was the editing or the dialogue, but they couldn't show more than two people having a conversation at once. It was really weird. It was like we have this group of friends, but they were rarely together. And when they were, they was like mostly just focused on two at a time. Oh, the Jade Bone Saga, the Green Bone Saga. It's the first book. It's the Jade War. Yeah, just read the first book, see if you like it, or read the first chapter on Amazon. Um, but it is a different type of contemporary fantasy. I don't mind the splitting of the Dragon Reborn thing, though. I'm fine with updating text for TV. It was just poorly done. Would love to see Priory as a series. Yeah, it's I think it comes back to writing by committee. Rather than just having one person or two people with a vision. Because I think too many cooks. Is this glitter? Oh, we're gonna see what happens. I do want to ombre it to white. So actually, let's start with white. Just in the corners. Yeah, I recommended, or I bought the Jade War, the first book, for my friend Sean, my best friend Sean, who was up here visiting. And his husband said he lost him for a week or whatever, however long it took him, because he could not stop reading. Reading the series. Okay, this is not glittery at all. They are planning a Bobaverse book. You mean a Bobaverse adaptation? Because yes, you need a good actor to play all the Bobs. By the way, if you want a good science fiction series, BBC, I think it was BBC, Orphan Black, which is about a cloning situation, but the actress who plays all the clones, fantastic, fantastic. Tatiana, what's her name? Bobaverse movie. Currently writing a queer, weird Western novel with horror elements. So I'm entrenched in Wild West books at the moment. Oh, that's so fun. I personally am not into Westerns, but my father was. And I remember there used to be like Western sections in the bookstore that I don't see anymore. Of course, most of it was Louis L'Amour, but I did read one sci-fi Western. Yipes. It was like not a yeah, it was lesbian. Oh, it was very short, and I cannot remember the title. I see Greta Gerwig is directing an upcoming Narnia movie. Oh, really? I wish they did more Narnia movies when those kids were still young enough to play the role. There's also a really early version TV series with Tom Baker was Puddleglum in the Silver Chair version. A nonfiction Western. It's about the summer of 1876. Didn't see Barbie, but no conservatives hated it for some reason. Yeah, I didn't get why they hated it so much. I mean, I get it was feminist, but really, you're going to hate on feminism? Firefly with my Wild West Awakening. Oh, there you go. I think there still is a Western section in Barnes and Nobles. Is there? I guess I just haven't looked hard enough. I know the Battle of Little Bighorn was in 1876, plus the telephone was invented. Not sure about other events that took place then. I don't know. Okay, so I need to up this pink game because I don't like it. Okay, so. Okay, that's pretty bright, but. Okay, it's a little shinier. Okay. Not really crazy about this final look, but it's not like I'm going to redo it. Too lazy. Okay. I don't mind books about a single year. There's a book about the year 1000. Break time is over. Get back to writing. Good luck, Stig. Hope to read your book. Custer's last word. Where'd all these damn idiots come from? The worst year to be alive is said to have been at 536. Yeah, it's definitely the Dark Ages, but it's also the plague, right? I mean, it must be that must be part of it. 2020s are shaping up to be pretty bleak. Oh my gosh. Uh, Early Dark Ages, but 536 was because of a volcanic winter. I didn't know that. Those dang volcanoes. Okay. So okay. We are going to hopefully fix everything with black. It is believed to have been 3 bad volcanic eruptions, but scientists aren't sure which volcanoes. Interesting. Oh, thank you, Frank. All the northern hemisphere was effective. Huh. Talking about Lev Grossman, even though I don't really want to read another Arthurian fantasy, I have heard that his new book is really well received. I mean, never say never. Maybe one day I'll get around to reading it. Excuse me. Okay. There was the Tambora and Krakatoa eruptions, both very bad. I just found out there is a book about it, The Worst Year Ever, 536 AD, volcano, mini ice age, plague, and an emperor who attacks the dead. Gosh. Emperor's the one who invented the death tax. Okay. Okay, this bled. Okay. Oops. I will need to reincarnate to get through my wish list, or else become immortal. Okay, this is really, really strange, but I'm gonna hope. Okay. Well, we can only hope that the eyelashes will fix this a little bit. Can you tell when I'm not crazy about a look? Okay, we're going to leave going to leave well enough alone. You know what I've been thinking about? Well, no, I'm not going to do it. I was going to say try to line with the eyeliner, my lips. Well, let's try it. If this stains my skin, what is this? That wasn't the lipstick I wanted. But Okay. I'm sure science will make us immortal one day if we don't destroy ourselves. Maybe we'll become Bobs. A few years ago, I read some tales of the afterlife, short stories about possible afterlives, including some I would enjoy. I don't expect any surprises. If I was reunited in heaven with my birth family, it would be hell, not heaven. Sure, God would not be so. Lots of gods aren't nice. No, that's not talking about the Old Testament God. If I was a god, there are some people I would be nasty to. Are there any novels about someone unexpectedly becoming a god? I'm sure there are. I can't think of any. Okay. Eyelashes. There's lots of fantasy books about people that discover they're related to a god, like an ancient Greek god or something. There's a Jack Chalker sci-fi novel called Gods Inc. INC. Gods Incorporated. Oh shoot, I just messed up these. Okay, time to switch to new lashes. I went down so dark with the black, I almost think I need lower lashes, but I hate lower lashes. Let me see. I should really do this off camera because I'm just messing around with lower lashes to see if I can make something work. Okay, I'm going to do it. Oh, looks like we're having a good discussion here. Our beautiful bookworms here. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you forever. Thank you. I have a good friend named Jim Beam waiting for me. Oh, good old Jim Beam. Samuel Jackson, ADK. I need to look for some books on that theme. Someone is suggesting Jake's Magical Market, in which suddenly everyone has access to a new, strange magical card system that gives them magical powers. Okay, this lower lash is too crazy. I may take them off. Who knows? Who the heck knows? Let's get on some jewelry and a wig and call it quits. Oh my gosh, it's been 90 minutes. Oh, shoot. As you can see, I was kind of thinking of doing something yellow today and did not go down that path. Man, these eyes look like big spiders. And what I got was my double stack. So, beautiful bookworm, reading anything interesting? Yeah, I don't think these are gonna, I'm gonna keep these lower lashes. They're a bit much. Oh, and I see Mooney is here. Okay, guys, this is the final look. I don't really like it, but not every look can be a winner. Um, Mooney's here. Well, thank you, Lynette, for lying. No, I'm just kidding. I can't join for long. I'm just glad that if you pop in here for 5 seconds, I am happy. Ash blonde MILF look, yes. It's actually more gray than blonde, but okay, guys, this is it. This is where I'm going to cut it off. Today, I am going to film Shelve It or Shove It for next month. And I hope you I hope you saw Shelve It or Shove It for this month. It was released on Thursday. And then I'm going to hopefully film another episode of my 100 science fiction books. Maybe I'll only do Shelve It or Shove It. I don't know. We'll see. But as usual, may all the books you read be blessed. And I will be back here next week. So hope to see you then.